Hi, my name is Neb Camus Sen Atumure, and this is the fourth video in the series called Jesus Found in Egypt. Now, one of the best tactics of men like Josephus, Flavius Piso, and his band of Luciferians was translating the scriptures from classical languages back to dialects so that the true meanings and roots could not be traced. Thus, many were unable to see the Egyptian language in the Semitic or Shemitic language of the scriptures, Hebrew and Arabic, which are false dialects and actually don't even exist. The tactic was translating from the original language in which you find the original word endings and putting it into second and third dialects and calling them modern standard or new version, or even declaring a dialect a major language, is a form of deception and the root of world religions confusion, and men like Josephus and his band of Luciferians are responsible for this. In the last book of the Old Testament, called Malachi 4:2, there is no attempt to translate the word son, S-U-N, for son, S-O-N. It literally reads, "But unto you that fear my name shall the Son, S-U-N, of righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as calves in the stall." The word in that quote being used for son is shemesh, the Hebrew word for sun in the sky, not ben or bar, the Hebrew word for son of a human being. And this Egyptian supreme being Horus, Haru, was the son of the supreme being Osiris, Asaru, and his wife, the supreme being Isis, Aset. Horus occupied his father's throne, which symbolizes Isis, because that's what her name meant, throne. And Horus, sat in her lap and breastfed whilst sitting on the throne. If you spoke the languages prior to the English, Latin, and Greek translations, you would see that everything started from Egypt and Sumer. Take Isis, for example, which is thought to be Greek. The word is actually Sumerian from the word Ish, as found in the Sumerian lexicon by John A. Halloran on page 59, meaning mourning or laughter, and again on page 102 with an extended form Ish, meaning complaint or lament. This is where the worldwide icon and statues of a child being breastfed called the Black Madonna in many places has its origin, ancient Egypt, as the son of God Horus became God as his father Osiris, weaned by his mother goddess Isis. Her real name in ancient Egypt was Aset, meaning throne, and the symbol on top of Aset's head is a throne. This is why Horus, is pictured sitting on his mother's lap as a babe worldwide. Adoption from Egypt. The word Horus, meaning face or distant, is phonetically synonymous with the English word hour, as in time, and Morduk, Dr. Malachi Zio has been known since day one as the man of the hour for many years. It is destined that he is the one who would bring us back to the beginning, for he came giving us what we wanted so that we would learn to want what he has to give. And now the hour has come for him to reveal to us who Haru or Horus really is. Many other words are taken from the word Horus, such as horoscope, horizon, horizontal, Hawariyuna, Hauri, Hor, and Har. Now the word Hawariyuna is borrowed from the Ethiopian language meaning messenger, which you render in Arabic as Rasul or apostle, like the disciples of the real Yeshua HaMashiach. Holy Quran 61:14. Therefore, when Paul speaks of another Jesus, he is actually speaking of Simon Bar Jesus, or Jesus Justus, called Cleophas. It is important that we are not fooled by these other Jesuses whose purpose is to deter you from your path on the straight and narrow. Remember, Yeshua Jesus said, "For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many." Matthew 24:5, Romans 16:18, 2 John 1:7. Lo, this Cleophas was the son of the Egyptian Cleopatra and the Roman deity called Marcus Antonius, simply Mark Anthony. Cleophas was conceived illegitimately at one of the orgy parties of Herod the Great. This party was attended by Cleopatra, which means of a noble father, and Marcus Antonius. Their union caused much controversy because Mark Antony was a Roman dignitary who at that time was considered divine in the triune of deities like Caesar. Mark Antony, a Caucasian that the Egyptians called Tamahu, meaning filthy or unclean being, was a ghost in person. 6 ether people are called ghost people. Their skin is transparent like a lizard. They have no lips like a snake. Their eyes are without true color. They are colorless, see-through, like a spirit. Hence, when he, Marcus Antonius, impregnated Cleopatra, the ghost had overshadowed Mary. Do you get it? Matthew 1:18 and 20. Cleopatra was neither Roman nor Greek like Caucasian history states. She was a Phoenician, a Mitzrayim type Egyptian woman from Noah's son Ham or Ham. Genesis 10:6. You must understand that the Caucasian history is mixed up and is written to hide facts, mislead, and deceive all but his own people. That's why it is called history, his story. Now you are hearing Nuaupu, our story. Although the Phoenicians was well scattered and powerless by 200 or 300 BC, the Romans and Jews and other Greeks who were controlling Egypt allowed the figurehead puppet kings and queens of Phoenician ancestry to continue to sit on the throne of Egypt until Jesus Justus was rejected as king or successor. And that's what Cleophas means, successor. It is from Galilean Arabic, Khalifa or Caliph, successor. The same way that the Canaanites, albino seed or albino cursed seed of Caucasoid white man, set up and control parrot rulers and puppet establishments in these times. They did the same in those times until revolutionary forces moved in and moved them out. According to Roman law, it is against the law for a Roman dignitary to have sex with women other than Roman. However, when Mark Antony saw Cleopatra at the party, at the orgy party, he wanted her. He was fiending for that brown sugar. They copulated, and Cleopatra became pregnant, and a child was born December 25th, 1 AD. The baby had to be kept secret in Rome and Egypt. This was done with the help of Herod the Great, a good friend of Mark Antony. In reality, Herod the Great had 9 wives, but he put on record that he had 10. Thus he added Cleopatra's name unto his other wives, because many people saw the list at the party with that name on it. And even though Mark Antony later married Cleopatra, their union was not recognized by the Romans nor the Egyptians. This means that any children conceived of this relationship would be illegitimate and regarded as being fatherless. Cleopatra was under the cat god Bast, mother of Mayhes, goddess of life, fruitfulness, and of cats. So you get the Roman Catholic Church, which is Roman, cat, and holistic, symbolic of the Sphinx, which is a cat man with the face of a pharaoh on it, and the body of the Lion of Judah. The immigration law was broken by Cleopatra. They had immigration laws. People were not allowed to come into Egypt without being announced. And when you came in, you had to present things to the deities, or you had to be a deity yourself. If you were a deity of your own land, then the pharaoh allowed you to sit in his court, but a normal couldn't do that. He would be killed, and they would come through and take all his wives, kill the men, and throw the women into Egypt and marry them off. Mark Antony got in because he was a deity to the Romans, and he married an Egyptian woman of nobility. This was against the law. The Romans saw the Egyptians as mortal people, and the Egyptians saw the Romans as mortal people. So when Cleophas was born, he was supposed to come to the throne at age 13 in Egypt. When a young pharaoh in the royal house became of age to become the pharaoh, it was at the age of 13 years old. And the priest had him recite his family lineage and some of the rituals, and then he would ascend the throne. However, the whole ordeal of Cleophas' birth disturbed him because he was half Egyptian and the son of a Roman deity, thus the Son of God. And the Egyptians refused to let him take the throne in Egypt. Cleophas was not accepted in either land, half Egyptian and half Roman. Cleophas left Egypt at age 13 years old, traveled to India and through Israel, then back to Egypt, and died in India at the age of 71. He is the Jesus that is buried in the tomb in Kashmir in India. The name Aish Muqam refers to Jesus. The word Aish is derived from Isha or Issa, and Maqam means place of rest or repose. Yuz Asaf is another name that was used to refer to Jesus. Evidence of a man called Jesus staying in India can be seen by the simple names of many towns and places in Kashmir. For instance, Aish Maqam, Arya Isa, Isa Brari, Isa Ail, Isa Kush, Isa Mati, Isa Ta, Isa Yes Isa, Isa Yes Sa Isa Vara, plus 14 other similar names. At the time when Cleophas lived in Kashmir, which means the Happy Valley, it was the center of great religious, cultural, intellectual, and political revival. The kingdom of Kashmir was the center of the enormous Indo-Scythian Empire and was ruled by the great king Kanishka I from 7880 through 10380 of the Kushan dynasty. After his return to Jerusalem from India, well versed in the spiritual teachings, vindictive, so he launched the first evangelist teachings and went out to teach this gospel or ghost spell. He went on teaching the Phoenician people that he was the king of the Judahites and the Greeks and God of the Romans. Thus he became known as another Christ, and he taught under the name Jesus, as is recorded in their scripture. Of him we find, and Jesus, which is called Justus, who art of the circumcision, these only are my fellow workers under the kingdom of Theos, which have been a comfort to me. He gained many followers. No, he gained few followers, was persecuted and laughed at for parading around proclaiming to be the Son of God, teaching Hindu mysticism and astrology. His doctrine, Simon Bar Jesus' doctrine, and the real Yeshua's doctrine got combined together to form present-day Christianity. He went insane. He went traveling through India and teaching and healing in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. And there he was referred to as Saint Isa. When Saint Isa or Cleophas was 26 years old, he returned back to Palestine, where he lived in the wilderness until age 29. He then traveled back to India, where he died at age 71, and was buried in a tomb in Kashmir, India. As you can see, there is more than one men in that day and time professing to be Christ, and when and even using the very name Jesus. There are 3 mentioned in their New Testament and 16 others called the 16 crucified Christs. They are Krishna of India, 1200 BC, Sakya of Hindu, 600 BC, Thammuz of Syria, 1600 BC, Watoba of Telendanese, 552 BC, Iowa of Nepal, 622 BC, Jesus of the Celtic Druids, 834 BC, Quetzalcoatl of Mexico, 587 BC, Pinos of Rome, 56 BC, Thus of Egypt, 1700 BC, Indra of Tibet, 725 BC, Alcasis of Zipis, 600 BC, Attis of Phrygia, 1177 BC, Crete of Chaldea, 1200 BC, Bali of Corsia, 725 BC, and Maitreya of Persia, 600 BC. All of these were Christ to those who followed them. The answer to all their questions